Ferrat had been assigned to Waste Management Station Theta 7 for 3 months now, and he thought he'd seen everything the job could throw at him. Sorting through the discarded remnants of a dozen alien species had become routine. The Velcorians threw away perfectly good technology when it fell below 98% efficiency. The Cartons disposed of clothing after a single wear, and the Zephyrites considered anything touched by unfiltered air to be contaminated. Humans, by contrast, threw away very little. It was one of the things that marked them as different in the galactic community, but nothing in his training had prepared Ferrat for the tiny Velcorian girl hiding behind Container 47B. Her 4 luminescent eyes filled with tears that glowed faintly purple in the dim light of the sorting bay. "Please don't report me," she whispered in heavily accented standard. "I'm searching the trash for a birthday gift from my mom, human." Ferrat froze, his sorting scanner hanging limply in his hand. The child couldn't have been more than 8 standard years old, roughly equivalent to a human 6-year-old. Her silver skin bore the telltale markings of the Velcorian lower castes, the ones who worked the recycling plants and energy farms. "Kid, you shouldn't be here," Ferrat said gently, crouching down to her level. "This area is restricted. How did you even get past security?" The little alien girl, Asil, her identification chip would later tell him, wiped at her eyes with delicate 3-fingered hands. "I climbed through the air vent. I'm small enough. Tomorrow is my mother's birthday and I have no credits for a gift. But I heard humans say, one being's trash is another being's treasure." Ferrat felt something twist in his chest. He'd heard the stories, of course. Velcoria had a strict caste system, and those born into the lower tiers rarely escaped. Children like Asil would work their entire lives in facilities like this one, never earning enough to break free from debt cycles established before they were born. "What kind of gift are you looking for?" he asked. Asil's eyes brightened slightly. "Mother loves beautiful things. She used to tell me stories of the crystal gardens on High Velcoria, where the nobility walks among flowers made of light. She'll never see them, but maybe I could find something here that reminds her of beauty, something the rich people threw away." Ferrat stood slowly, his mind racing. The galactic community prided itself on efficiency, on progress, on the logical distribution of resources. Waste was minimized, recycled, repurposed. But somewhere in that cold efficiency, beings like Asil and her mother had fallen through the cracks. "Come with me," he said, extending his hand, "but stay quiet." He led her through the sorting bay, past mountains of discarded items that would be broken down to their molecular components. The Velcorians alone had deposited enough waste this week to supply a small colony for a year. Furniture with minor scratches, electronics with outdated processors, art that had fallen out of fashion. It made him angry in a way he couldn't quite articulate. "Here," Ferrat said, stopping at a container marked for molecular disassembly. He began sorting through items, his trained eye identifying potential: a Cartanian silk scarf still pristine, a Zephyrite music crystal, capable of playing 1,000 songs, a Velcorian light sculpture discarded because its base had a hairline crack. Asil gasped when she saw the sculpture. It was small, meant for a desk or shelf, but it cast cascading patterns of colored light when activated. "It's broken," she said, her voice falling. "The base is cracked," Ferrat corrected, picking it up carefully. "But the light mechanism works perfectly. Watch." He activated it, and the sorting bay filled with dancing colors, blues and purples and silvers that swirled like northern lights. Asil's 4 eyes went wide with wonder. "On Earth," Ferrat said quietly, "we have a tradition called kintsugi. When something breaks, we repair it with gold, making the cracks part of the beauty. The object becomes more valuable because it survived, because it was loved enough to fix." He pulled out a repair kit from his belt. "Your people see this crack as a flaw. Humans see it as a story." For the next 20 minutes, Ferrat worked while Asil watched in fascination. He sealed the crack with a catalyzing compound, but instead of hiding it, he traced it with a luminescent marker that would glow softly under certain lights. The crack became a silver vein running through the base, unique and intentional. "There," he said, handing it to her carefully. "It's not trash anymore. It never was." Asil held the sculpture like it was made of starlight itself. "But won't you get in trouble? These items are supposed to be recycled." Ferrat smiled. "According to my logs, this sculpture was damaged beyond repair and disposed of properly." "Who's to say different?" He watched as Asil clutched the gift to her chest, tears streaming freely now. "Thank you, human. Thank you, Nefera," he said. "My name is Farah." "Thank you, Farah." She hesitated, then reached into her pocket and pulled out a small object, a rock, polished smooth by handling. "This is my lucky stone. I want you to have it." Farah accepted it gravely, knowing it was probably the only possession Asil truly owned. "I'll treasure it." He escorted her back to the air vent, watching until she disappeared into the shadows. Then he returned to his station and did something he'd been considering for weeks. He opened a secure channel to the Human Integration Committee. Subject: Waste Management Practices and Humanitarian Concerns. The galactic community was efficient. But humanity had learned something through their centuries of struggle, something that couldn't be quantified in resource allocation algorithms. That waste wasn't just about materials. It was about wasted potential, wasted lives, wasted hope. The report took Farah 3 hours to write. It detailed the systematic inefficiencies he'd observed, the perfectly usable items destroyed daily, and the beings like Asil who fell through society's cracks. He included recommendations, policy suggestions, and a proposal for a human-led initiative. Nothing wasted, no one forgotten. As he submitted the report, Farah looked at the polished stone on his desk. Tomorrow Asil's mother would receive a beautiful gift, and perhaps if he worked hard enough, children like Asil wouldn't need to search through trash for proof that beauty still existed in the universe. That was the human way. They didn't just survive, they made sure others survived too. Ndi.